Hello, everybody. I am so happy to see you on this wonderful Wednesday. It's Hump Day, in the first full week of June. I am so grateful for our time together, and I feel so lucky that I was assigned tonight's social. It's gonna be pretty special, and I'm just very honored to be with you. And joining me tonight, my co-pilot, the co-facilitator tonight is Malika, and I'm going to shout out because Malika just moved, and she's getting settled in her new apartment. It's like the first time she's ever been able to live by herself, and she's super excited. So this was my first time to get to see Malika since she's had that big move. But we are excited about looking at our to-do list and oh boy, that purpose mapping page. So, welcome, welcome. Be sure your chat settings say to everyone. If it says to host and panelists, you won't be able to share with anybody. This is closed caption enabled. So, if you don't want to listen to me, you can read my words. You'll miss the lovely deep East Texas accent, though. If the music's not vibing with you, feel free to lower the volume. And yeah, let's get going and dig into this very special time. Now, I do want to remind you all, or make sure that you all are aware. And I know the numbers will keep climbing because folks are getting home and getting settled, but I really want to invite you to hang around for the very, very end because we are ending tonight's social in a very different way. And I think it will really leave you with a beautiful space of reflection. So if you can hang out till the end, please do so. I'm pretty excited about how we're sharing tonight together. There are the community guidelines that we share when we are gathered together as a group. And normally when we're doing like a weekly setup, we don't worry too much about, um, kind of our emotional health. Tonight could possibly be a little bit of a tissue night. So you might want to grab a tissue. It could also be a night of celebration. It could be a night of both. So just the reminder there in number 7 is just be sure you're taking good care of yourself. And if you need to sit in a little mind space, sit there and take what you need. There, no one is grading this. Your purpose mind mapping is not going to be graded. It's there's no right or wrong. It's about you and what you choose to do with this page or these pages as you reflect on your purpose and your life. All righty. Of course, our theme of purpose. I love this quote. It's going to be at anything I do this month. You are what you believe yourself to be, not what anybody else says. They can cheerlead you on, but this is about you and who you are called to be. One of the ways you can find out that purpose is to go check out the the seminars that are being offered by Mayhaw tomorrow. They're live. There'll be one that will be at 12 o'clock Pacific time. I'll be kind of doing the chat during that one, and then Maya will be on with Mayhaw in the evening. And we just love getting to hear Mayhaw share the good stuff of Silk and Sonder. So if you need a little pick me up, it's always nice to dial in. And she will also be talking about how our lifestylist app can enhance both of these areas in our life. Yeah, a lot of Jennifer time. I'll tell you something. I have my grandkids next week, and then we are taking a family trip at the end of the month. So I got a lot of assignments. Now I'm doing my time now so that somebody doesn't get stuck with a lot later. But I think that's funny you noticed that, Megan. So tonight our agenda is a quick opening activity, just kind of a check-in with self. We're going to do our to-do list first, and then we're going to do our purpose mapping on page 16, and then that very special closing activity that I really want you to hang around for because it's going to leave you with a very contemplative mind. So, right now, we're going to open up with just a little check in with self, this kind of midweek vibe check. And I'm going to encourage you, you can do this on a blank page. You can find a sticky note, do it on the little, notes panel that's on the side, the scratch pad that's on the side of your weekly setup, wherever you want to do this. It can even just be a scratch pad of paper. You can get very creative and use your color markers and stuff, or just pen to paper. And I'm going to ask you to take a few moments to reflect over these questions and really dig in. Don't just answer them yes and no, but like ask, have you taken some time out for yourself yet this week? And if not, reflect on that and why. And are you needing to maybe schedule some time on that weekly spread? Have you moved your body? If not, why? And if you did, how did that make you feel? Really dig into these. How are you feeling about the week so far? That's always a good check in. How do I feel? What do I need? I know Nathania, one of our Sonder fam, does that a lot. How am I feeling? What do I need? What am I proud of so far? And have I done something for someone else? And write about that. How did it make you feel? So let me just put on a little bit of music. And if there's something that you want to share with us, feel free to drop that in the chat. Thank you for just kind of hanging out and taking that moment to do a midweek check. It's so nice when these socials fall like in the middle of the week so we can be very intentional with that, right? Because otherwise we would, you'd probably be doing laundry and doing food and figuring out what tomorrow's going to bring you. You've got all that stuff on your mind from work and so you've checked in with self. We've still got a couple of days left to finish strong, to finish the week the way you want to. If it's not going as well, if you didn't get your stuff scheduled in the journal, if you're not doing it's okay. This is the week to just be open to what life brings your way. Um but glad for that midweek check-in because it's like what do I how am I feeling, and that can dictate what you need. Maybe that means you need to go to bed early night, right? And don't worry about the dishes in the sink. What is it that you need to maybe fill your cup and finish the week strong? Okay, so let's turn to page 19. And I was asking Malika, I don't know that we've ever had an actual to-do list in the journal. So I'm pretty excited about this page. Now, at weekly setups, we always share, the repurposing of our to-do list and turning them into to-do list. Um, but like to have a whole page dedicated. So this is kind of fun. I know a lot of you do incorporate a to-do list in your weekly spread, or you repurpose your to-do list, or you find moments of celebrating your day. This can be definitely a lesson in, a moment of gratitude. um, I've got, we love the cute graphics. I call my to-do list my to-do list, and do jazz hands as I tick things off. Ta-da! So we love that feeling. We love getting the good serotonin and endorphin hit when we can celebrate the things in our life. Now, I first heard about a to-do list from author Gretchen Rubin, and we had her on for an exclusive with Mayha, and they did a discussion over the five senses. But that's where I first heard of the to-do list on her Instagram account. And she framed it out like this: give yourself credit for the less tangible things you achieved, right? Just kind of the nuanced things in your life. You can write down qualities you cultivated in yourself, or a hard conversation you had, and think about listing anything you're proud of pursuing over the last 12 months. Consider writing your list with friends or family. So maybe with a partner, or discussing how everyone's grown. So that's one way to frame out a to-do list. I've got some other ideas. I want to share with you some considerations. So as you're looking at your to-do list tonight, um, you can define a time period. So maybe you think of all the things, biggies, the things you want to go, I did it, your accomplishments from your whole life, or maybe the past 10 years, or maybe the past year, or maybe the first half of 2025. Maybe I'll share mine. Mine is a 6-month reflection over like a mid-year check-in. Have you been working on a long-term goal and it just feels like it's taken a long time to get there and meet that goal? Stop for a moment and celebrate by looking at all the little steps, all the many steps that have been put into play to where you have gotten so far. Maybe you've got a health goal and it feels like I'm never going to get there. Stop and go back and reflect on all the many, many little things. And it can be like, I got this item at the grocery store instead of this item. I ate this instead of that. Just break that down. You can write down everything you did in one day, just like that reflection of all the little nuanced things that didn't go on a list, but that happened. You could think about relationship accomplishments. You could make a to-do list of all of 31 people in your life. books or media you've consumed. You know, my son-in-law works in the film industry, and he movies are so important to him. And so he keeps like journals, and he owns all this physical media, and so he might put his top things on a list like this. Or maybe the books that you've read, things you've made, created. Um, People count too, right? Your kids, places visited. Maybe it's just a daily check-in this month. And you'll, even though we're kind of in the fourth day, you'll go backward. Um, you can also divide this list into categories that fit into your life, or maybe take some inspiration from your uh, intentions boxes, right? So, you know, what are some physical to-dos? What are some money management to-dos? So it's really about what do you need right now? You could frame that out. I hope that all your little to-dos one day become to-dos. So here's a couple of examples. The one over on the right is actually from Gretchen Rubin's to-do list Instagram post. And she made this very simple one. You know, a to-do list can be something like maybe you had a conversation with someone that was just so impactful that went on a to-do list. It just showed up. But wow, it's going to stick with you, and you celebrate that, right? There's one from someone reflecting over their year, kind of an year-end thing. I actually took mine as my mid-year check-in. So from January to now, kind of what happened. Some of them are big things, some of them are little things, and I left 3 blank, so that I can finish up the month of June, like, over the next few months. But then, because I started getting ready for this social, I thought, I'm gonna do a to-do list every single day and capture some of these small things that weren't on the schedule for the day, but that I did, that I loved, that brought me a little bit of joy. You know, I sat for a few minutes and just listened to the birds, and that was just something to reflect on Monday. I have a new friend in yoga who doesn't know anyone in the area. And yesterday I had the most beautiful conversation with her about friendship and about making some plans for lunch. And it just like, I loved that. So I'm kind of, doing a little bit of both. But I did use mine as a mid-year check-in since we're in the month of June. So I'm going to put on a spell of music while you start considering how you want to frame out your to-do list. Share in the chat which direction you're going. I'll go back through these slides while you're working on this, and we can't wait to hear what you're going to do with this space. Listen, we need our hype music. We need our opportunities to celebrate ourselves whenever we can because our brains always tend to go to like, I didn't, I should have, I didn't. And these lists are so good for us. So I am so proud of y'all for working on this, embracing it, celebrating your ta-das, whether they're big. I said I was looking at mine. Yesterday I was on was it yesterday? I think I put yeah, toward the bottom, it says extra courteous on Northwest Highway because they are always working near where I live. I'm very, urban and lots of road work and traffic. And I was like, I intentionally was very extra courteous and let the people who shouldn't have been let in, I let them in. I was kind and just, yeah, Kelly, Northwest Highway's a mess. And so it was a little ta-da, but I was really proud of myself for being a kind human being. Maybe I was tooting my own horn too much, but I don't know. Anyway, we need to celebrate the things that we do. And so I'm very excited now. You might still work on this and this you can have listen, if you're a list person, get into the to-do list and celebrate yourself, right? Just keep these lists everywhere. And you might still be working on this, but we want to make sure, yeah, that we have plenty of time for everything. So, time to turn to purpose mapping, page 16. And our instructions are draw a mind map starting with your core purpose and it's in the center. That sounds so easy. That is not easy. And I'm going to share my process where I am because I'm not done. Full transparency. I'm with you. We're going to work on this. And then you branch out with different areas of your life, career, relationships, personal growth, and write down actions and habits that align with your purpose in each of those areas. So, at first you think, oh, this is simple. I can do that. And then when you start really digging in, it's tricky. Now, I wanted to share a little graphic with you. There is a brand in the field of psychology, it's kind of a brand new or new-ish branch looking at purpose in someone's life and what that means, right? Yeah, purpose for life. And there are all kinds of studies that have been done that are currently being done. They're really looking at how a strong sense of purpose influences a person's life, which is why I think it's so important we're looking at this theme this month. And so when they start looking at individuals with a very high sense of purpose, their mortality rate is less than someone who has a low sense of purpose overall. They're doing a lot of, the population lives longer now. And so, there's starting to be more science on the last chapters of life. And we're noticing that folks who live longer with healthier lives have that high sense of purpose. They go into it. And so now they're looking like, is it a chicken or egg situation? Do you have a high sense of purpose because you have made some alignment with your health and your choices in nutrition and how you spend your time? Or is how your choices are made and spending your time and what you eat and how you embrace your health, is that what creates the high sense of purpose? So it's kind of one of those things that they're studying, which is what I love. So yeah, aging is mandatory, growing old is optional. We talk a lot about how, yeah, we help people age and be your best selves. And I shared at at my weekly setup this week about that sense of purpose in your life and what that looks like as we go through ages and stages and our purpose is changed and we have to be open to that and leave the shoulds behind, what you should do or what you shouldn't do, right? Just be open to that. So Professor Anthony Burrow is kind of the forefront of purpose science. He's out of the Cornell College Department of Psychology. And he says, okay, a purpose is a self-organizing life aim. It's what we take up, what we've got control over this. The view ahead, what you're looking forward to and working toward. It's this gaze that remains in front of you. And that makes me think of my yoga teacher saying always, soften your gaze and look ahead as you're balancing, right? Whoa, so powerful there. It's not an accomplishment that has a terminal outcome. It's bigger than that. It helps you organize your goals and know what to pursue next. So if a purpose is open ending, how does it help us? How does it guide us? So this is so critical. We have finite resources. We know that 24 hours in a day, right? Sleep, energy, money, time, whatever. The clarity of your purpose is thought to help guide how you allocate all those resources in this world that presents us with all these choices. Like we are the ones who can control those 24 hours. It's real easy to let them be given up to YouTube, right? Or social media or whatever. A sense of purpose helps you narrow down who you want to be and the contributions that you can make. So, I want to play a little video to help center our minds as we tackle this mind map. So I'm going to go off camera and play this um, pretty powerful video.
These are roughly 28,835 jelly beans. I counted out 500 of them and used those to weigh the rest. In this pile, there's one jelly bean for each day that the average American will live. You might have more beans in your life, or maybe less, but on average, this is the time we have. Here's a single bean. It's your very first day. A special day, but kind of a rough day on everyone involved. Add 364 more and you have the first year of your life. Now, for a sense of scale, here are your first 15 years, 5,475 days, which brings us to the threshold of adulthood. And at that moment, this is the time that we have left. And this is, on average, what we will do with all that time. We will be asleep for a total of 8,477 days. If we're lucky, some of that time we'll be sleeping next to someone we love. We will be in the process of eating, drinking, or preparing food for 1,635 days. We'll be at work, hopefully doing something satisfying, for the equivalent of 3,202 of those days. 1,099 days will be spent commuting or traveling from one place to another, maybe a little bit more if you live in LA. On average, we will watch television in one form or another for a total of 2,676 days. Household activities, like chores and tending to our pets and shopping, will take another 1,576 days. And we will care for the needs and well-being of others, our friends and family, for 564 days. We'll spend 671 days bathing, grooming, and doing all other bathroom-related activities, and another 720 days will go to community activities, like religious and civic duties, charities, and taking classes. After we remove all those beans, this is what remains. This is the time that we have left. Time for laughing, swimming, making art, going on hikes, text messages, reading, checking Facebook, playing softball, maybe even teaching yourself how to play the guitar. So what are you going to do with this time? How much of it do you think you've already used up? If you only had half of it, what would you do differently? What about half of that? How much time have you already spent worrying instead of doing something that you love? What if you just had one more day? What are you going to do today?
Hold on just a second. I got to get us to the next.
These are roughly 28,835
One moment. Issues here.
jelly beans.
Hold on one second. Let me do.
I counted out 500 of them.
That's what I was looking for. There we go, friends. So, there is our purpose mapping page. And I hope that just kind of that consideration of how precious your time is will help you kind of work through your purpose and creating your mind map. Remember, it's not some grandiose thing. It's something that you carry around with you and you can articulate in clear, specific, simple ways. It's something you're working at repeatedly, and then how it manifests will evolve and change over time. So, we all know Brene Brown. She does a lot of research in, being brave, being courageous, finding your values, what you value in life. And this is not an all exhaustive list, but it's a really good list to look at for the things that are valuable, for what you see as being part of your purpose. When I was looking at this page, I tried to think of maybe purpose as the sun in my solar system, right? So I kind of set my page up this way. Now, I'm going to tell you, I don't think that this is what my page is going to end up looking like. We're at the very beginning of our digging into purpose this month. So, as I started processing and thinking about like one thing, it was very hard. So, I kind of started with post-it notes, and that this is the process where I am right now. And I do believe it's going to change as I work through this month and learn more about myself and more about my purpose for this last third of my life. You may be hanging out in your 20s thinking life's ahead. What does that look like? So for me, I felt like maybe one of my core things was that just the fact that I have tried to be a legacy changer in my life and not have the same types of values and outlooks as my parents did. And so that affected me as in these areas as a partner, as a mother and grandmother. I've mothered my children very differently. I've grandmothered extremely differently from my mom. How am I as a friend? How am I in community? How did that affect me as a mentor to other parents as I was the head of a school? How did I mentor other women entering the field? How was I a cheerleader? How was I an educator when I was a kindergarten teacher, preschool teacher? And then I started thinking about all those values that kind of muddle around in every one of those roles. So that's how I've started getting going with this page. Um, I'm not finished. I'm going to be working on this through the month, but I wanted to share that with you that I don't quite have exactly what I want this map to look at. And I wanted to give you permission for that as well, to not have your answers, but maybe start popping in words, grab post-it notes, get some things down as you start considering your purpose in light of what is valuable to you. So, let me put on some music and let us know some of the things as we think about just how finite our average life can be and how we want to spend those days and how we see our purpose within that. And then I'll come back in. And again, I'm going to ask you if you can hang around. I've got a really special ending tonight. am really it's funny that you should say that you're looking forward to seeing these pages in Sonder Club. Me too. And the chat is gold. That is one of the beautiful things about coming to these live events is that we get to just be with each other. I always like to think that it's just this serendipitous moment that brought us all together, that things aligned in this group's life, and it made this time very special for those that were able to be here, live. So thank you for that. Yes, please share your pages as you are comfortable. Again, and they can be a work in progress, as is mine. I'm not there yet. I really, in fact, I was talking to my husband and he's like, I think you're overthinking this. And I said, I don't think so. But also overthinking is what I do really, really well. So, anyway, so I'm going to keep working on it. I'm so excited about like this whole month of digging in and yeah, there have been heartaches and heartbreaks, and there have been joys along the way. That's why I think things like we started off with that midweek check in, like just stay tuned to yourself, right? And find that purpose. Just one more time, if you want to grab that QR code to go log on to either one of those sessions, sign up for that. You can also find this in the Eventbrite. Malika is going to drop a lot of links in the chat. This has been recorded. It should be available within a day or two on the YouTube channel. So watch the chat if you need to grab those links. And finally, there is my playlist for this evening, and I'm on Spotify. I'll drop that there if you want to go look at the Purpose playlist for this month. I want to thank you all for being here this evening. We're going to close a little bit differently than we normally close. So I'm going to ask if you'll just kind of drop your pen, put your hands in your lap, take a couple of big, deep, recentering breaths. You did a lot of consideration, a lot of work tonight. Be proud of yourself. Be proud of maybe not knowing exactly where you're going with this idea of purpose and really honing in. Be proud of the bud that is to come up the road as you dig into this month. And we're going to end with one of my favorite. I love, love, love Mary Oliver's poetry. And this poem contains a very faint, her last couple of lines are pretty powerful. So I would like for you to just sit, enjoy, and then when the reading is finished, we'll just be done. So goodbye, my friends, until I see you.
The Summer Day by Mary Oliver. Who made the world? Who made the swan and the black bear? Who made the grasshopper? This grasshopper, I mean, the one who has flung herself out of the grass, the one who is eating sugar out of my hand, who is moving her jaws back and forth instead of up and down, who is gazing around with her enormous and complicated eyes. Now she lifts her pale forearms and thoroughly washes her face. Now she snaps her wings open and floats away. I don't know exactly what a prayer is. I do know how to pay attention, how to fall down into the grass, how to kneel down in the grass, how to be idle and blessed, how to stroll through the fields, which is what I have been doing all day. Tell me, what else should I have done? Doesn't everything die at last and too soon? Tell me, what is it you plan to do with your one wild and precious life?